Vulnerability research. So knowledge is power, folks. And being aware of everything that's going on is sometimes a struggle. But my question is, when it comes to knowledge, how often are you checking? When was the last time you checked to see if Adobe has a vulnerability, or if Microsoft has a vulnerability, or Linksys, or Netgear, or SonicWall, whoever? When was the last time you checked? Or are you just waiting to hear it on the news? Because if that's what you're doing, do me a favor, email me your IP address, your outside IP address. No. Just email me. I'll get you. Where do you check? That's the big question. Where do you check? Okay, I know some people that subscribe to some different sites. I personally have a couple of my favorites. I'm going to share some of those with you, but there's some really interesting ones that are out there. And they should be flagged, and you should be checking these things weekly, if possibly not daily. Again, start thinking like a hacker. When you see things, and this is going to happen to you, happens to me all the time. I keep telling my wife, because she makes fun of the fact that I'm paranoid. And I said, hey, just because I don't see the black helicopters doesn't mean that they're not hovering above me. But you've got to start thinking, okay, hey, that's a cool piece of great example. And this is going to probably age this video a bit here, but they announced the release of the new iWatch. And I'm going through looking at what it can do, and I'm sitting there going, wonder, I'm thinking like a hacker, wonder what I could do. Or I just got my Raspberry Pi, and I was like, oh, I'm going to turn this into a dumb terminal for my kids so they get into a machine that I can control, and basically it's going to be a machine that reimages itself every 24 hours. And as I'm looking it up, I come across an article about, hey, turn your Raspberry Pi into a pen testing server. And I'm sitting there going, okay, that's cool, except for I'm going to think like a hacker. Yeah, I'm going to pen test you with my Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi, if you guys aren't familiar with these things, very, very tiny, about the size of a large matchbox. But it's a full computer. Do you think I could hide that somewhere within your network and have it go through and start sniffing your network? And then, hey, it's got a network connection. Have it email reports, or I'll just come back in and pick it up. So start thinking. You'll start looking at things from a hacker's perspective. You also want to collect information about trends in security, trends in attacks that are taking place, and also in threats. Dale, that sounds like a lot to keep up with. Well, not only that, but you also have to be aware of how to recover from these issues. And most of the time you'll see solutions or resolutions as you read about those attacks and threats. So where do you look? Well, first of all, I'm going to start off with looking at my operating system vendors. I don't care what OS you're running. You need to check with them often. Most of them have their own security page. Microsoft has their own security page. Yes, they are very much aware that people are trying to attack them all the time, and so they have a dedicated site just on security that they announce issues, including zero-day attacks. Apple does the same thing. Adobe does the same thing. Everybody does the same thing. But I'm going to start with the OSs first. Then I'm going to move into my applications. I'm going to have a software inventory of everything running on my systems, whether it's a desktop software program or a server software application. I'm going to go through, have those inventory, and then I'm going to look and see if those vendors have got security pages announcing issues. I'm also going to do the same thing with my hardware vendors. Asus motherboards, Intel motherboards, Realtek NIC cards, whatever the case may be. That's going to be another one of the locations I'm going to be looking is their websites. The manufacturers, Cisco, Netgear, Ironport, component vendors, Western Digital, Intel, for their CPUs. Believe it or not, Bluetooth keyboards. Nothing's funner than hacking through Bluetooth. Nobody suspects it. We're also going to check some other security-related sites and blogs. Now, these are some of my favorite, and you can definitely come up with your own list just by doing a little bit of Googling. But there's the hackerstorm.co.uk, great location. Also, EC Council has their own vulnerability site. It's actually called Code Red Center, but you can go to eccouncil.org and find it. Security Magazine. This particular site is kind of more focused towards higher-end management, but a great resource for you to see what they're telling our executives. We have Security Focus. Security Focus actually has a vulnerability database that you can search. In fact, let's go take a look at it. So here's the Security Focus website. And you'll notice they show you the most current vulnerabilities up front. Looks like there's some stuff going on with Oracle Java right now. You can scroll down here and you can see vulnerabilities focused on Apple, IDS systems, wireless, honeypots, all kinds of stuff. But I'm going to come in here and look at a vulnerability because I'm just kind of concerned right now about, we'll pull up the vendor. And we'll say the vendor is Adobe. Let it update here. And we're going to say it's Acrobat. And we're going to select version 10.1.3. And here are the vulnerabilities. And you can drill in. We'll come in here into this Adobe Acrobat Reader. Looks like a remote heap-based buffer overflow vulnerability. Tells me who's vulnerable. What? Linux? That can't be. They have a discussion section here. Tells you what's going on so the attacker can exploit this issue to execute arbitrary code in the context of the user running the infected application. Failed attempts will likely cause a denial of service condition, and they say the issue was previously covered in a previous article, and as far as the solution is concerned, updates are available. See the reference for more information. I come over to references, and it takes me to Adobe's site. Basically, I just need to do an update to fix this particular problem. But if you guys go back and take a look at the vulnerabilities, if you search all of them, look at all the vendors. Dare I say a plethora of vendors? Oodles and oodles and oodles of them. Another one is blogs.windowssecurity.com. This is actually a really, really nice site. There's some really famous authors that have their own blogs on this particular site that talk about different security issues going on, current and past. And there's the hackersjournals.com website. And I'm a big fan. I actually subscribe to this one. It comes in my email every day. It's the zdnet.com/topics/security. This is the one today that I got a email talking about that we sometimes have machines that aren't actually hooked up to outside networks. We see this happen a lot in government and large organizations. These machines we refer to those as being air-gapped or air-gapping. So again, these machines are hooked onto the network, but they don't necessarily have network access or internet access, I should say. The new vulnerability that was just released is a technique called BitWhisper. Are you ready for this one? If the malware gets on, obviously, the machine that's hooked up, what happens is that typically we have our servers in a rack, right? And the server that's hooked to our network, as well as the internet, may be sitting right next to the server that is on our network only and not on the internet, or possibly even completely compartmentalized, but it's physically sitting next to it. This piece of malware, if you can get it on this, and of course the challenge is getting it on that second machine that's completely air-gapped. But if the malware is infected both machines, here it comes, it can actually use heat patterns. Yes, heat patterns as a data channel between the machines. Yeah, I'm talking about thermal heat coming off the machine. The malware can cause the CPU heat to rise and fall, and it interprets it, or the other machine interprets it as binary. It's really slow. It's like 8 bits per hour. But again, it's still quite fast. It's fast enough to grab passwords and text files over a period of time. Again, here comes that time issue. If you have a chance, go on YouTube, BitWhisper, all one word, and you'll actually see them control a rocket launcher. It's a little Nerf rocket launcher from a secondary machine to a machine that's not hooked up to the network at all. It is technically a proof of concept, but it's an amazing proof of concept. Let's see. How would I deter? The countermeasure would be to turn the CPU fan off.